Hello everyone, Darren's Brainwaves here, and today we are going to talk about what is wrong with the Instapots. What are some of the improvements that could be made? They've been around a long time now, and they've become, in so many kitchens, a standard thing. I remember being introduced to them quite a few years ago by my friend Melissa, and fell in love with the concept after using it a while, and have realized they are brilliant, even though this concept really of this kind of pressure cooker has been around for quite a long time, but just how they put everything together has made them very popular, very convenient, and there's a lot of reasons that people would want to have one. But there are some critical things that could be changed to make it like way better. So, all right, let's go into some of the details that could be improved on the Instapot. So one of them is simply that it does not pressure cook to a high enough pressure for all the applications. For pressure canning meat and various other things like that, so stews with meat and stuff like that, you need a higher pressure than the Instapot can achieve, which is really a big bummer because the Instapot would make pressure canning extremely easy, especially in like the 10-quart design, but not quite high enough pressure. I'm assuming that's partly due to that they probably were concerned that if they had it too high of pressure, that people might overcook their food and make it mushy, but they could fix that really easy by just simply adding a button for pressure canning, which would be a higher pressure than their normal high pressure, as well as they'd probably have to make the system out of a little bit heavier of metal, and that would add a little bit to the cost, and they're probably trying to keep it as cheap as they can so that their margins would look better. And not everyone would understand why that's more important, as well as also better heat dissipation through the pot. The other issue that would be a lot of people complain about the Instapot is that it still takes a good while to heat up. It is interesting that in Europe, the Instapot models, if I remember right, I looked it up because I was like, I bet they have more watts. So on 220 volt, some of them actually are a little higher wattage, I believe. But on 110, they can go up to probably 1,800 or so, but they're not really utilizing all of their potential, simply because I think they're trying to avoid you having your food burned. But I guess one of the features that would be the nicest to have is to make a multi-function Instapot where it has refrigeration built into it. Now you're asking, well, it's a cooking pot, why would you want refrigeration? Well, let's go and get into it a little bit. So if you put, as of now, the heating elements at the bottom, the sides have like no heating. So if you put in around the outside of the pan, the pot, you could have either a compressor with a refrigerant cycle, which I could see why they wouldn't want to do that because that could be a little bit complicated to fit in an Instapot. Not that you can't do it, just it'd be a little complicated. But they could easily use Peltiers, which are they're a solid state unit that can either heat or cool just by reversing the polarity. And essentially, they can pump the heat out, or they can pump the heat in using electricity to the food. So the advantage to having that is, just say you are a normal human that works a normal job, and you need to have supper ready. Well, you only can do it the night before, and you get it ready. You want to put it in the Instapot, but you can't because you know that the meat is going to be spoiled before the delay start would come on and cook it. So that is a big problem. If they had the delay start combined with refrigeration, where that it could keep it just like it was in your refrigerator, and then when you want to have the food ready, you can tell it when you want it ready by, and it'll automatically stop refrigerating and cook your food exactly how you want it cooked. As well as once you're done with the meal, as a lot of people are, they don't have enough room in the refrigerator for the big pot of food. They could just push the refrigerate button and put the lid back on it, and they could just leave it on the counter conveniently, and it would keep their food perfectly fine. And then for the next meal, if they know they're going to eat all of it, they could heat it up again. And of course, it's very easy to link devices like that with your phones and over Wi-Fi and all of that kind of stuff, so that you could let it know if you had to come home early or whatever. Also, if you had a big party and you needed to have like cold drinks, you could definitely use the Instapot, throw in some water, and then turn it on like the chill mode, and you could have cold drinks the whole time that you just regen, and they're ice cold, and you wouldn't have to worry about opening or closing or things or having like the ice melt, because it would just keep it perfectly chilled in the Instapot. So it would give it a lot more versatility. Now you'd have to also, for another concept, you would have to have a little bit more available of cooling, but you could make an ice cream maker so that you would just have a different lid. If you ever are familiar with like the White Mountain ice cream maker, the system is pretty straightforward but works brilliantly. But they could have a lid that would go on top of the unit that would be like the ice cream stir, and it would make it really convenient, because if you were doing even like a custard, you could potentially have recipes developed where you could just put all the ingredients in there, push like ice cream custard a few buttons in the programming, and it would cook as well as freeze and make your finished ice cream, as well as keep it frozen until you decide to pull it out, store it, or just leave it in there and eat ice cream out of it until you finish up your ice cream. So by having an Instapot that can have refrigeration, of course Jell-O and puddings and a bunch of other treats could be made and kept with an Instapot with refrigeration. And like I said, the main advantage is in the delay start function, where that you could keep your food from spoiling when you need it to start at some later date or time. So that's some of those functions that I found are definitely missing from the Instapot. So if you have any other thoughts or ideas of what would make the Instapot even way better, I would love to hear them. I hope you found this interesting. I definitely think it's worth testing. Of course, there would be quite a few little details to work out of it, but if you had one fan that would circulate air around the inner part of the Instapot, around the cooling system, it could dissipate the heat that it would be pulling out and push it out and suck in new air. And that definitely could keep all the Peltiers working correctly. And you would just need like aluminum heat sinks, I'm pretty sure. And that should work out. Now obviously the efficiency level wouldn't be as high as some of the other systems to do the same thing. But Peltiers are pretty cheap. And honestly, the convenience might be worth that little bit of extra electricity on a relatively smaller appliance like this. So if you think that would work, or if you think there's any inherent problems with the idea, love to hear about it. I might try doing it one of these days, but I've just been way too busy. But I thought I'd throw the idea out there because I would love an Instapot that refrigerates as well. So you guys have a great one. Let me know what you think. And if you have any other amazing, cool ideas, I'd love to hear about them. Throw them my way. And you guys have a great night.